The ship was bigger than anything Yuna had ever seen. It hung in the black space like a silver mountain, turning slowly against the stars. She stood at the window of Earth's small shuttle and watched it grow larger and larger as they moved closer. "That is the council vessel," said Tay. He stood beside her with his arms crossed. He was her security officer, a tall man with a calm face and sharp eyes. "They say it holds 10,000 different species." Yuna nodded but did not speak. She was Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. The weight of that title sat heavy on her shoulders. Every word she said, every move she made, would represent all of humanity. She had trained for 2 years for this moment. But no training could prepare her for the size of that ship. Behind them, Hana was checking her equipment. She was the team's biologist, a small woman with quick hands and a quick mind. She had packed 17 different devices to record everything they would see. "I still cannot believe this is happening," she said softly. "First contact. Real aliens. This changes everything." "Stay focused," said Jay. He was the captain of their small team, an older man with gray hair and a face full of lines from years of hard decisions. "We are here to make friends, not to study them like animals in a zoo." Hannah's face turned red. "I know that. I just meant, I know what you meant," Jay said, but his voice was kind. "Just remember why we are here. Earth needs allies. The universe is bigger than we ever imagined, and we are very, very small." The shuttle moved into the docking bay of the great ship. Yuna felt her stomach turn as the gravity shifted. The doors opened with a soft hiss, and bright white light poured in. Standing in the light were 3 figures. They were not human. The first was tall and thin, with blue skin and 4 arms. It wore a silver robe that touched the floor. The second was short and round, covered in thick brown fur, with large black eyes that blinked slowly. The third was the strangest of all. It had no legs, only a long tail like a snake, and its head was shaped like a triangle with too many teeth. Yuna took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Welcome to the Galactic Council," said the tall blue one. His voice was smooth and pleasant, like music. "I am Coordinator Vel. We have waited a long time to meet your species. Thank you for having us," Yuna said. She kept her voice steady and her face calm. "Earth is honored to be here." Vel made a gesture with 2 of its 4 hands. "Please, follow me. The Council is eager to learn about humanity. But first, there is a small matter of procedure." They walked through long white hallways. The floors were smooth and clean. Strange lights floated in the air above them, following their movements. Yuna saw other aliens passing by, species of every shape and size. Some had wings, some had many legs. Some floated without touching the ground at all. "What kind of procedure?" Jay asked. His hand moved slightly toward the weapon at his belt, but he did not touch it. "Nothing dangerous," Val said quickly. "Every new species must be scanned when they join the Council. We must understand your biology, your history, your place in the natural order. It helps us know how to work together." They entered a large room filled with machines. In the center was a platform surrounded by screens and lights. Several aliens in white coats stood around it, their eyes fixed on the humans with great interest. "This is our biology division," Vel said. "They will perform the standard assessment." One of the scientists stepped forward. He was different from the others. His skin was gray and covered with small scales. He had 2 large yellow eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth. But his voice was polite when he spoke. "I am Drell," he said, "Chief Scientist of Biological Assessment. Please, do not be afraid. The scan is painless. We simply read your genetic code and compare it to our database. It tells us about your world, your evolution, your predators, your prey." "Predators?" Tay said sharply. "Yes," Drell said. He seemed surprised by the question. Every species has natural predators. It is the way of the universe. Some are hunted, some are hunters. Understanding this helps us assign you to the correct social tier within the council. Yuna felt a cold feeling in her chest. Social tier? Vel shifted uncomfortably. The council values all species equally, of course, but there are practical matters. Prey species often feel safer with certain protections. Predator species have certain responsibilities. It is simply organization. We are not prey, Tay said flatly. Drell made a sound that might have been a laugh. That is what they all say at first, but the DNA does not lie. Every species has something that hunts it. Every species has something it fears. The scan will tell us everything. He gestured toward the platform. Please, one of you must stand there for the scan. It takes only a moment. The team looked at each other. Finally, Yuna stepped forward. I will do it, she said. Yuna, Jay started. I am the ambassador, she said firmly. If they want to scan humanity, they can start with me. She walked to the platform and stood in the center. The lights around her grew brighter. The machines hummed to life. She felt a strange tingling across her skin, like tiny insects walking everywhere at once. Drell watched his screens with great attention. His yellow eyes moved back and forth, reading data that flowed across the display. Interesting, he murmured. Very interesting. Carbon-based life form. Originated on a medium-sized planet, third from a yellow star. Warm-blooded. Bilateral symmetry. Large brain for body size. He tapped something on his console. Now, let us see your predator registry. This will tell us what hunted humans on your home world. What species you learned to fear and run from. The other scientists gathered closer, eager to see the results. Yuna stood very still. She knew what was coming. She had read the old stories. She knew what humanity had done to survive. The machine beeped. Data appeared on the screen. Drell's face changed. His yellow eyes went wide. His mouth opened, showing all those sharp teeth. That cannot be right, he whispered. He pressed more buttons. The machine scanned again and again. The same result appeared each time. The room went completely silent. What is it? Vel asked nervously. What did you find? Drell turned to look at Yuna. For the first time, she saw something in his eyes that she recognized. Fear. The scan found no natural predators, he said slowly. The database returned empty. According to your DNA, nothing hunts humans. Nothing at all. Yuna smiled. That is correct, she said softly. Not anymore. The silence in the laboratory lasted a very long time. Drell stared at his screen like it had grown teeth and bitten him. His gray scales had turned pale, almost white. The other scientists whispered to each other in languages Yuna did not understand. Run it again, Drell ordered. His voice was rough and tight. A young scientist with 6 legs hurried to obey. The machine hummed once more. Lights moved across Yuna's body, reading every piece of information written in her cells. She stood perfectly still and kept her face calm. The result appeared on the screen. It was the same as before. Natural predators. List empty. This is broken, Drell said. He slammed his hand against the console. The machine is broken. We have scanned 10,000 species. Every single one has predators. Every single one. It is impossible for this to be wrong. Vel moved closer, his forearms twitching nervously. Perhaps there is an error in the translation? Human genetics might use a different format. I know how to read genetic code, Drell snapped. This is not a translation error. The data is clear. According to every marker in her DNA, humans have no natural predators. None. 0. The list is completely empty. Tay stepped forward. His hand rested openly on his weapon now. Is there a problem? He asked. His voice was very quiet and very dangerous. Drell looked at him. Really looked at him. Una saw the scientist's eyes move across Tay's body, studying him in a new way. Reading the way he stood. The way he moved. The confidence in his shoulders. "No problem," Drell said slowly. "Just confusion. Please understand, this has never happened before. Every species in our database, every single one, has something that hunts it. Prey animals are hunted by predators. Predators are hunted by bigger predators. It is the chain of life. It is how the universe works. Maybe your universe works differently than ours," Hannah said. She had moved to one of the smaller screens and was reading the data with great interest. "May I ask a question?" Drell waved one hand in permission. "When you scan for natural predators," Hannah said, "what exactly are you looking for? What markers in the DNA tell you about predator and prey relationships?" Drell seemed relieved to answer a scientific question. It was comfortable ground. "The DNA holds all history," he explained. "Every species carries the memory of what hunted it. We look for stress markers, genetic changes that happen because of predator pressure, fear responses built into the brain, survival instincts coded at the cellular level. If something hunted your ancestors for thousands of years, the evidence is written in your genes forever." Hannah nodded slowly. "I see. And in human DNA, you found none of these markers?" "Oh no," Drell said. "We found plenty of stress markers. Plenty of fear responses. Plenty of survival instincts. Your species clearly faced many predators during your evolution." He pointed at his screen. "Look here. Genetic memory of large cats. Here. Memory of pack hunters' wolves, probably, or something similar. Here. Evidence of conflict with other apex predators. Bears, crocodiles, sharks. Your DNA shows all of this. Then why does the list show empty?" Jay asked. Drell's face twisted with frustration. "Because the database cross-references the genetic memories with current species data. It asks a simple question. What predators still exist that hunt this species? For most aliens, the answer is a long list. Even for apex predators, there are usually parasites, diseases, or environmental dangers that keep them in check." He turned to face the humans directly. "But for you, the database cannot find a single current threat. Every predator your ancestors feared? Gone. Not reduced. Not endangered. Gone. Extinct. Vanished from your planet completely." The room fell silent again. Minho spoke for the first time. He was the youngest member of the human team, a quiet man who worked as their cultural specialist. His job was to understand alien societies and help with communication. He had been watching and listening carefully this whole time. "Perhaps I can explain," he said softly. Everyone turned to look at him. Minho walked to the center of the room. He moved slowly, keeping his hands visible, as if trying not to frighten the aliens around him. "Your confusion makes sense," he said. "You are used to a universe where predator and prey exist in balance, where hunting and being hunted is the natural order." "Because it is the natural order," Drell said firmly. "On your worlds, yes," Minho agreed. "But Earth is different. Humans are different." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "We did not simply learn to survive our predators. We did not simply find ways to escape them or hide from them. We did something else entirely." "What?" Vel asked. His voice was barely above a whisper. Minho smiled. It was a small smile, but something about it made several of the scientists take a step backward. "We killed them," he said simply. "All of them. Every single creature that ever hunted us. We tracked them down, and we killed them, until there were none left. The silence that followed was absolute. That is genocide," one of the scientists said. His voice was filled with horror. "No, Hannah said. She had been studying the data on the screen, and now she turned to face the aliens. Genocide implies intent to destroy. What we did was survival. Pure, simple survival. You call extinction simple? Drell demanded. For us, yes, Hannah replied. Let me tell you how it happened. Millions of years ago, our ancestors were small and weak. They lived in trees and ran from everything. Lions ate them. Wolves ate them. Eagles snatched their babies. Crocodiles waded in every river. Bears ruled the forests. Every shadow held death. She walked slowly as she spoke, her voice taking on the rhythm of an old story. But we had one advantage. Our brains. We learned to work together. To make tools. To plan. To remember. We could not outrun a lion, but we could make a spear. We could not outswim a crocodile, but we could learn where it lived and avoid it or kill it while it slept. Over time, Minho continued, we did not just defend ourselves. We went on the attack. We hunted the hunters. We became so good at killing that we did not know when to stop. Tay nodded slowly. The lions that threatened our villages? We killed them. All of them, in some regions. The wolves that took our livestock? We hunted them to near extinction. The bears, the tigers, the great sharks, we killed them for food, for safety, for sport. Sometimes just because we could. Drell's face had gone from pale to something closer to green. You did not just remove threats. You eliminated entire species. Yes, Una said quietly. She had stepped down from the platform and now stood with her team. That is exactly what we did. Our planet once held thousands of predator species. Today, the largest predators left are the ones we allow to live. The ones we keep in protected areas, like precious treasures, because we feel guilty about what we did to the others. She met Drell's yellow eyes directly. Your scan is not broken. The list is empty because we made it empty. Every creature that ever saw humans as prey. We found them, and we ended them. It took us 100,000 years, but we were very, very patient. Drell sat down heavily. His legs seemed unable to hold him. This is why your DN shows no current predators, he said slowly, almost to himself. Not because nothing ever hunted you, but because nothing that hunted you survived. Now you understand, Minho said. Coordinator Vel stepped forward. His four hands were shaking slightly. Ambassador Una, he said, and his voice had lost all its smooth confidence. I believe the Council will need to review your species assessment. This is highly unusual. Una bowed her head politely. Of course, Coordinator. Take all the time you need. As the aliens hurried out of the room, whispering frantically among themselves, Tay leaned close to Una. I think we scared them, he murmured. Yun watched the empty doorway where Drell had disappeared. His gray scales pale as death. Good, she said softly. Let them understand what they are dealing with. Drell sat alone in his private laboratory, surrounded by screens filled with data. He had been staring at the same information for 6 hours. His eyes hurt. His head ached. But he could not stop looking. The human genetic code filled every display. He had broken it apart piece by piece, searching for something, anything that would explain what he had learned. Some error. Some mistake. Some reason why the universe made sense after all. He found nothing. The door behind him opened. He did not turn around. Go away, he said. I am busy. Too busy for an old friend? The voice was familiar. Drell finally turned to see Senior Scientist Kell standing in the doorway. She was old for their species. Her gray scales turned silver with age. She had been Drell's teacher many years ago. Kell, Drell said. He tried to hide his exhaustion and failed. What are you doing here? I thought you retired. I did. Kel walked slowly into the room, her tail dragging behind her. Then I heard about your interesting visitors. The whole station is talking about nothing else. I had to see for myself. She looked at the screens, her old yellow eyes moving quickly across the data. Ah, so it is true. The empty list. It should not be possible, Drell said. His voice cracked slightly. I have scanned thousands of species. Every single one fits the pattern. Predator and prey. Hunter and hunted. The great chain of life. It is universal law. Perhaps not as universal as we believed, Kel said quietly. Drell stood up sharply. You do not understand. This is not just unusual. This is wrong. If these humans are telling the truth, if they really did eliminate every predator on their planet, then they break every rule we know about species development. Kel sat down slowly in a nearby chair. Tell me why this bothers you so much. Explain it as you would to a student. Drell began to pace, his tail swishing back and forth. Fine. Here is what we know about life in the universe. Every species evolves in balance with its environment. Predators keep prey populations in check. Prey species develop defenses, speed, armor, camouflage. Predators develop better hunting skills. It is a cycle, a dance. Both sides push each other to improve. Yes, Kel said impatiently. Basic ecology, continue. The point is that no species ever wins completely, Drell said. The balance always holds. If predators kill too many prey, they starve. If prey escape too successfully, the predators die out, and the prey overpopulate until disease or famine cuts them down. The system corrects itself, always. He pointed at the nearest screen, showing human evolutionary history. But these humans, they did not follow the rules. They did not just escape their predators. They did not just find balance. They removed the entire other side of the equation. Kel studied the screen thoughtfully. And survived. And thrived, Drell corrected bitterly. Look at their population numbers. Look at how they spread across their planet. Without natural predators to control them, they multiplied like a virus. They covered every corner of their world. They changed the climate itself with their activity. Interesting, Kel murmured. They became their own limiting factor. Exactly. Drell stopped pacing and faced his old teacher. Do you see now why this terrifies me? Every other species we have met, every single one still lives within the natural order. They still have predators. They still have something that hunts them, something that keeps them humble, something that reminds them they are not all-powerful. He lowered his voice to a whisper. Humans have nothing. Nothing holds them back. Nothing keeps them in check. They are completely, utterly free to do whatever they want. The room fell silent except for the soft hum of machines. I understand your fear, Kel said finally. But let me ask you something. Have you spoken with them? Actually talked to them, beyond the scan? Why would I? Drell said. I know what they are now. Do you? Kel's old eyes were sharp. You know their genetic history. You know what their ancestors did. But do you know what they are today? Do you know how they think? What they value? What they want? Drell opened his mouth to answer, then closed it again. I have lived a long time, Kel continued. I have seen many things, and I have learned that the most dangerous mistake a scientist can make is to assume he knows everything from a single data point. The data is clear. The data is incomplete. Kel interrupted firmly. You know their biology. You do not know their minds. You do not know their hearts. She stood up slowly, her joints creaking. Go talk to them, Drell. Ask them questions. Learn who they are now, not just what they were. Then decide if you should be afraid. She walked toward the door, then paused. One more thing. You say humans have nothing to keep them in check. Nothing that limits them. But think about this, they have survived as a species for hundreds of thousands of years without external controls. That means either they destroyed themselves over and over and rebuilt, or they found something internal, something inside themselves that holds them back. What do you mean? Drell asked. I mean that perhaps humans are their own predators, Kel said softly. Perhaps they learned to hunt themselves, to control themselves, to limit themselves. That would be far more impressive and far more frightening than simply killing lions. She left without another word. Drell stood alone in his laboratory for a long time. Finally, he made a decision. He turned off his screens and walked to the door. The human delegation had been given quarters on the diplomatic level. Drell made his way there slowly, thinking about what he would say, thinking about what he wanted to know. He found them in a common room. The ambassador, Yuna, was sitting at a table reading something on a small device. The security officer, Tay, stood near the window, watching the stars. The biologist, Hana, was examining a plant that grew in a pot by the door. The cultural specialist, Minho, and the captain, Jay, were playing some kind of game with small pieces on a board. They all looked up when Drell entered. May I join you? Drell asked. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Uncertain. Yuna smiled. It was a warm smile, friendly and open. Nothing like the cold expression Drell had expected from a species of predator killers. Of course, she said. Please, sit down. Would you like some tea? We brought it from Earth. It is made from dried plant leaves. Drell sat carefully. You drink plants? Among other things, Hana said with a small laugh. We also eat plants. And animals. And fungi. And sometimes insects. Humans are omnivores. We eat almost anything. Almost anything, Drell repeated quietly. There was a moment of silence. Then Jay spoke, his voice calm and measured. You came here with questions, he said. It was not a question. Yes, Drell admitted. I need to understand. Your history. Your nature. What you are. Yuna put down her device and looked at him directly. Her eyes were brown and warm, but something deeper lurked behind them. Something ancient and patient. What would you like to know? She asked. Drell took a deep breath. Everything. And so, as the stars turned slowly outside the window, the humans began to tell their story. The real story. The one that the genetic scans could not show. They talked for hours. And slowly, Drell began to understand. The tea was strange. It tasted like nothing Drell had ever experienced, bitter and sweet at the same time, with a warmth that spread through his body. He held the small cup carefully in his scaled hands and listened. You want to understand what we are, Yuna said. But first, you must understand what we were. She pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. A holographic image appeared above it, showing a green and blue planet, Earth. 300,000 years ago, Yuna began, our ancestors lived in small groups on the grasslands of one continent. They were not strong. They were not fast. They had no claws, no fangs, no armor. By every measure, they should have died. The image changed to show a landscape filled with predators. Great cats with teeth like knives. Packs of wolves moving through tall grass. Bears standing taller than two men. Crocodiles wading in murky water. This was our world, Hana said softly. Death everywhere. Every day was a fight to survive. Our ancestors watched their children get carried away by eagles. They saw their elders dragged into the water by reptiles. They buried friends who had been torn apart by cats in the night. Drell felt something uncomfortable in his stomach. That is normal. All species face predation. Yes, Minho agreed. But most species accept it. They run faster, or they hide better, or they have more babies to replace the ones that die. They adapt to being prey. Humans did not accept it, Tay said. His voice was flat and hard. Our ancestors looked at the predators that killed their families, and they made a choice. They decided they would not run anymore. The holographic image shifted again. This time, it showed early humans, small, thin, naked creatures with no weapons except their minds. But they stood together in groups, and they held rocks in their hands. First came the tools, Jay explained. Sharp stones that could cut. Long sticks that could reach. We could not outrun a lion, but we could wound it from a distance. We could not fight a bear alone, but together we could surround it, hurt it, drive it away. And then, Una said, we discovered fire. The image showed flames dancing in the darkness. Around the fire sat humans, their eyes reflecting the orange light. And beyond the circle of light, in the shadows, yellow eyes watched from a distance. But they did not come closer. Fire changed everything, Hannah said. For the first time, the predators were afraid of us. Fire burned them. Fire blinded them. Fire cooked our food and hardened our spears. With fire, we were no longer just survivors. We were dangerous. Drell shifted in his seat. Many species discover fire. It does not make them apex predators. You are correct, Minho said. Fire alone was not enough. But fire combined with something else, something no other species had made us unstoppable. What? Drell asked. Patience, Minho said simply. The holographic image showed a group of humans following animal tracks across a vast plain. They moved slowly, steadily, never stopping. Most predators hunt with speed, Minho explained. They chase, they catch, they kill. If the prey escapes, they give up and look for something else. But humans invented a new kind of hunting. Persistence hunting. I do not understand, Drell said. Tay leaned forward. Imagine a lion chases a deer. The deer runs fast, much faster than the lion. The lion tries to catch it, fails, and gives up. The deer lives. That is how most hunting works. Now imagine a human chasing that same deer, Tay continued. The human is slow. The deer runs away easily. The deer stops to rest, thinking it is safe. But the human keeps coming, walking, never stopping. The deer runs again, rests again. But the human is still there, still walking, still following the tracks. Hannah picked up the story. This continues for hours, sometimes for days. The deer cannot understand why the strange creature will not give up. It runs until its body overheats, until its legs give out, until it falls down and cannot rise. And then the human finally catches up and kills it with a simple spear. Drell felt a chill run through his scales. You hunted by never stopping. We hunted by refusing to quit, Una said. No other predator in the galaxy does this. Speed means nothing against a species that will follow you forever. Strength means nothing against a species that will wait for you to weaken. We could not outrun our predators, so we decided to outlast them instead. The holographic image changed to show the passage of time. Thousands of years compressed into seconds. Human populations grew. They spread across continents. And everywhere they went, the great predators began to disappear. We did not hate our predators, Jay said quietly. We respected them. Some of us even worshipped them. But respect did not stop us from killing them when they threatened our families. Fear did not stop us from hunting them when we were hungry. We ate them, Tay said bluntly. That is the truth your scan found. The predators that hunted us? We ate them. Lion meat, bear meat, wolf meat. We did not just kill them, we consumed them. Made their strength part of our strength. Drell set down his teacup. His hands were shaking slightly. Your scan asked what predators currently hunt humans, Una said. The list is empty because we did not just drive them away. We did not just establish territory. We ate them until there were none left. But that is not the whole story, Minho added. Killing predators was only the beginning. Once we had no natural enemies, we discovered something terrible. What? Drell asked. We discovered that the most dangerous predator was each other. The holographic image showed humans fighting humans. Wars, battles, destruction. On scales that made Drell's stomach turn. We are the only species on Earth that hunts itself, Hana said softly. Once we ran out of external enemies, we turned on each other. We fought wars that killed millions. We invented weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We came close to extinction many times, not from predators, but from ourselves. And yet you survived, Drell said. We did, Una confirmed. Because the same persistence that let us hunt lions also let us hunt peace. The same patience that let us outlast bears also let us outlast our own worst instincts. Slowly, painfully, we learned to control ourselves. She looked directly into Drell's eyes. Your people asked what hunts humans. The answer is, humans hunt humans. We are our own predators, our own prey, our own greatest threat, and our own greatest hope. Jay stood and walked to the window. We have not conquered our violent nature. We probably never will. But we have learned to direct it, to channel it. When we meet a new species, we do not automatically see prey. We see potential allies, potential friends, potential members of our pack. But if that species threatens us, Tay added quietly, if they try to hunt us or harm our people, then they will learn what every lion and wolf and bear learned thousands of years ago. He turned to face Drell. Humans do not forget. Humans do not give up. Humans do not stop. And if you make yourself our enemy, we will follow you across the galaxy if we have to. We will wait until you are tired. We will wait until you are weak. And then we will do what we have always done. The room fell silent. We will finish what we started, Una said softly. That is what we are. That is what we have always been. A species that refuses to be prey. A species that eats its predators. A species that would rather burn the galaxy to ash than submit to being hunted. She smiled, and this time Drell could see the ancient hunger behind her eyes. Does that answer your questions? She asked. Drell realized he had not breathed for several seconds. He forced air into his lungs and stood on shaking legs. I need to speak with the council, he said. He did not run from the room, but he walked very, very quickly. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was the largest room Una had ever entered. It stretched upward for hundreds of meters, filled with floating platforms where representatives from thousands of species sat watching. The walls glowed with soft light, and the air hummed with the sound of automatic translators working in every language known to civilization. At the center of the chamber stood a single platform. That was where the human delegation now waited. I have never seen so many aliens in one place, Hana whispered. Her scientific curiosity was clearly at war with her nervousness. Stay calm, Jay murmured. We have done nothing wrong. We have nothing to fear. Tay said nothing, but his eyes moved constantly, scanning the crowd, noting exits, counting potential threats. Old habits. Coordinator Vel stood on a raised platform above them, his forearms spread wide for attention. The chamber slowly fell quiet. We are gathered today for an unusual matter, Vel announced. His voice was amplified to reach every corner of the vast room. The species known as humans has requested membership in the Galactic Council. Before we proceed, our science division has information that must be shared with all members. Drell floated forward on a small platform of his own. He looked tired. His scales had lost their shine, and his yellow eyes were dull with exhaustion. He had clearly not slept since their conversation. "I will present my findings directly," Drell said. The data speaks for itself. A massive holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed the results of Yuna's genetic scan, the empty list. A murmur ran through the assembled species. "As you can see," Drell continued, "the standard predator registry returned no results for the human species. This has never happened before in the history of council assessments." The murmur grew louder. Minho leaned close to Yuna. "They are frightened," he whispered. "I can see it in their body language. 1,000 different species, and they are all displaying fear responses." "Good," Yuna replied quietly. "Let them be frightened. It is better than being seen as weak." Drell raised a hand for silence. "After extensive investigation, I have determined that this result is not an error. The human predator list is empty because humans systematically eliminated every species that preyed upon them during their evolutionary history." The chamber erupted in noise. Shouts, screams, clicking sounds, whistles, every species expressing shock in its own way. Vel had to call for order multiple times before quiet returned. "This is impossible," declared a representative from a species Yuna did not recognize, a large creature covered in hard shells. "No species can survive without predators. The ecological balance would collapse." "And yet humans survived," Drell said. "They adapted. They became their own regulating force." "They are monsters," another voice called out. It came from a small furry species huddled on a distant platform. "They killed everything that hunted them. What will stop them from killing us?" The question hung in the air. Yuna felt thousands of eyes turning toward her. She stepped forward and raised her voice. "May I speak?" Vel hesitated, then nodded. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Yuna of Earth." Yuna looked around the chamber slowly, meeting as many eyes as she could. "You are right to be cautious," she began. "Humans are dangerous. I will not lie to you about that. Our history is written in blood, not just the blood of the predators we conquered, but the blood of our own kind. We have made terrible mistakes. We have done terrible things." She paused, letting the words sink in. "But we have also done something no other species in this chamber has done. We have faced our own nature. We have looked at the darkness inside ourselves and chosen to be better." She gestured toward her team. "Every person standing here with me carries the same genetic code, the same instincts, the same potential for violence that let our ancestors conquer Earth. But we are not defined by our instincts. We are defined by our choices." Jay stepped forward to stand beside her. "Humans learned long ago that strength without wisdom leads to destruction. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times, but each time we pulled back. We chose peace over war, cooperation over conquest." "Not always," called a voice from the crowd. "No," Jay admitted. "Not always. We are not perfect. We still make mistakes. We still hurt each other. But we keep trying. We keep learning. Every generation is a little better than the one before." Hannah moved forward as well. "Let me tell you something about humans that the genetic scan cannot show. We do not just eliminate our predators. We also protect them. Today, on Earth, the few great predators that remain are fiercely guarded. We spend vast resources to protect lions and tigers and wolves. Not because we fear them, but because we realized too late that the world was poorer without them." She looked around the chamber. "We regret what we did. We cannot undo it, but we learn from it. That is what makes humans human. We make terrible mistakes, and then we try to be better." Minho spoke next. "The Council asks what will stop humans from killing you. The answer is simple. We will stop ourselves. We have spent thousands of years learning how to control our worst instincts. We have built laws and institutions and cultures all designed to hold back the predator inside us. He smiled gently. You are not our prey. You are potential friends, potential allies, potential teachers. Humans are curious. We want to learn from every species in this chamber. We want to share what we know. We want to find our place in a community larger than ourselves. Tay stepped forward last. His face was hard, his voice direct. But let me be clear about one thing. If any species in this chamber tries to hunt us, tries to harm our people or our world, we will respond. Not with anger or hatred, but with the same cold patience we have always shown. We will not give up. We will not forget. We will follow that thread until it is ended. He looked around the chamber without flinching. That is not a threat. That is simply who we are. We protect our own. We always have. We always will. The chamber was completely silent. Eunice stepped forward one final time. The choice is yours. You can reject us out of fear, and we will return to our planet alone. We will survive, as we always have. We will grow stronger, as we always have. And perhaps one day, our children will meet your children among the stars. And we will have to decide all over again if we can be friends. She spread her hands open, showing empty palms. Or you can accept us today. Work with us. Teach us. Let us teach you. Show us that the universe is not just predators and prey, but something more. Something better. She bowed her head. The empty list in our DNA is our history. It does not have to be our future. We came here hoping to fill that emptiness with something new. With allies. With friends. With family. She looked up, meeting Vel's eyes directly. What is your answer? The silence stretched on. Species looked at each other, whispering in languages too quiet for the translators to catch. Una felt her heart pounding. Then, slowly, a single representative floated forward. It was an ancient-looking creature, its body covered in what looked like living moss. Its many eyes blinking in patterns that might have been expression. I am Elder Voss of the Seventh Garden World, the creature said in a voice like rustling leaves. My species has been part of this council for 10,000 years. In all that time, I have never heard words like these. It turned to face the crowd. Humans frighten me, it admitted. Their history is violent beyond my understanding. But I have lived long enough to know that fear is not wisdom. Fear is simply fear. It turned back to Una. I vote to accept humanity into the council. Not because I believe you are safe, but because I believe you are trying. And in my experience, that is all any species can do. A long moment passed. Then another voice called out in favor. Then another. Then dozens at once. When the voting ended, the result was clear. Humanity had been accepted. Coordinator Vel looked down at the human delegation with an expression that mixed wonder with uncertainty. Welcome to the Galactic Council, he said. May your future be less interesting than your past. Una smiled. Thank you, Coordinator. But I should warn you, with humans, interesting is guaranteed. Behind her, Tay allowed himself a small smile. The species that ate its predators had found a new place among the stars. The list was no longer empty.